Only on NBC4, and for the first time since 5 men were charged in that $61 million bribery scandal at the Statehouse, one of the accused is talking. And what a story he's got. Here they are. Larry Householder, as you just heard, the accused ringleader of the biggest scandal in Ohio history. Lobbyist Neil Clark committed suicide. Political operatives Juan Cespedes and Jeffrey Longstreth are both pleading guilty to federal racketeering conspiracy charges. And former Ohio Republican Party chairman and lobbyist Matt Borges, who for the first time is talking and telling me he is not guilty. Federal prosecutors arrested all these men last July, accusing them of taking millions in bribe money from First Energy as the utility tried to win legislative approval for a $1 billion taxpayer bailout of 2 nuclear power plants. Borges tells me he did not accept bribes or launder money, and he wants to set the record straight.
I think it's important to make sure that the other side of the story, the truth of this story, gets out there, and really the only person who can tell it is me.
On the same day that Larry Householder was picked up by the FBI, there was a 6 a.m. door knock at the home of Matt Borges.
Handcuffed me. They never read me my rights. And wouldn't tell me what was happening.
He ended up at a U.S. Marshal's office.
Kind of one of the first things I saw when I looked to my left was Larry Householder sitting in a jail cell.
All 5 men were eventually put in the same holding cell. Allegedly, you're co-conspirators,
right.
And they allowed you to sit together before questioning?
None of the things that have happened sort of procedurally have really made any sense.
But when you saw who the other 4 were in this cell with you, did you think to yourself, this might have something to do with all that First Energy money?
Oh, of course. I mean, what one would assume, given the people who are in that room, and we were all essentially agreeing with each other, this must have something to do with House Bill 6.
House Bill 6. Borges finally read the sealed indictment that details an alleged householder-led enterprise funneling $61 million in bribe money to ensure the First Energy bailout would live and an opposing ballot initiative would die. So as you're reading that, were you thinking to yourself, okay, I had a role in this?
Well, I mean, and I've never once tried to deny that I was a vendor working on a project.
Indeed, Borges does not deny launching a new lobbying firm just in time to accept First Energy as a well-paying first client. But here is where federal prosecutors say the law was broken. Money from First Energy was sent through a fund secretly controlled, they allege, by Larry Householder, but set up as a 501c4 called Generation Now. A C4 is a nonprofit that's supposed to be limited to working for a social welfare cause. Generation Now was taking in millions. Some of it allegedly ended up in the pockets of the 5 accused men, but also was used to lobby and promote House Bill 6. Borges insists spending money for a legislative campaign is legal.
It really would have been helpful if other people had done what I had done and actually read the statutes and read the regulations to know that what Generation Now was doing with regard to support of House Bill 6 does fit the IRS's own definition of what a social welfare organization is.
Borges says he was a legal lobbyist, just one of dozens of vendors hired to promote House Bill 6. But the federal indictment says Householder and the other defendants personally profited. The indictment says more than $1 million went through the Borges lobbying firm. He says that is legal.
Keep in mind, we were working on an issue that, if we were successful, would help a company that stood to make hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars. And so pricing our services to allow them to stay in business, was important for us to do in an appropriate way.
Appropriate, he says, for routine lobbying.
There is none, and there will never be any evidence that I was involved in any kind of quid pro quo or any kind of agreement or any kind of understanding. There are no conversations that I was part of about how money was going to go back and forth between First Energy and Generation Now. I knew none of those things.
So why does he think he was targeted?
They were very aware I was working on a PAC for Joe Biden as a Republican for Biden, a high-profile Republican for Biden, and they wanted to shut that down.
Much more tonight at 11 on why Borges believes that this was all somehow politically motivated, that it can be traced all the way back to the White House, as well as, you might remember, there were accusations that he paid bribe money to get inside information on that ballot initiative. He has an explanation for that, too, and you'll hear that at 11.
I'm sure a lot of people at home were doing the same thing that I was doing. I said to you, he's sitting here talking to you. Where's the attorney? I'm waiting for the attorney to hop in here and say, hey, hold on a second.
Originally, I thought his attorney was going to be present for the interview, but he was not. We did this, just Matt Borges and I, and he says it's because, in his mind, after 10 months of this, it's time for him to fight back. Yeah. And this is the way he's doing it, by telling his story. It's
got to be tough to sit there and be in that situation, but then the irony that this happens, we air this on the day of the discussion.
Yeah, that was just a coincidence, too, the Larry Householder debate today. So, because when you think about it, he and Householder are the only two left in this case now. So it's going to be interesting to see what's next.
All right, we'll be watching tonight at 11.